Hey guys, welcome to a recap of the Real Housewives of New Jersey reunion part 2, aka Andy. He needs a raise. This reunion was such a difficult task for him. You could tell that he needed. He needed paid leave. He needed like a to go give something to like feel after filming this reunion to make it feel that it was worth it, because the stress and the aggravation that came along filming this reunion, I couldn't do it. You guys couldn't paid me as a viewer. I was just a watcher and I was feeling the stress for Andy Cohen. This was so much was going on, but I felt like while there was a lot of drama, I felt like it wasn't getting anywhere. We weren't hearing anything that we didn't really know or had insight on. But I felt like this was not Miami's reunion. I love Miami, hands down, had the best reunion thus far this whole year. I feel like this was a whole bunch of yelling back and forth, tit for tat. I felt like Gia needed to be in this reunion for her mom because her mom was not she was not delivering. Teresa, what is wrong with you? Oh my god, I feel like Teresa needed Gia to like rehearse. Gia should have came like with notes, have like post-its of what to say to Melissa, because you let Melissa eat you up like that, girl. Oh my god, it was not looking cute. It was not looking cute at all, y'all. Woo! So, guys, we open up this reunion, part two, with Teresa feeling like Melissa and Joe were responsible for hanging out with people who sent Teresa to jail. And the reason why she feels this way and she is swayed with this belief is through the source of Jacqueline Loretta. Jacqueline Loretta as a credible source, y'all. I don't know about that because last time I checked, Jacqueline Loretta, she was a hater of Teresa Giudice. I know they made up, but before they made up, Melissa is like, look at your friend. She texted me and said all this about you. Pretty much talking down, talking so much trash about Teresa. For her, months later, make up with Teresa. What was the alliance for? Does Jacqueline want to come back on the show? Does she now not like Melissa? I feel like for Melissa to use Jacqueline Narita as a reason to talk down to Teresa, it did not look good at all. And even Dolores is like sitting there like, Melissa, you're not looking good. You don't want Jacqueline after you. If you could see she flip flop like that. And I'm like, yeah. But Melissa is in complete savage mode, which is why I feel like Teresa's a little bit underprepared. I know Gia is at home watching this, like, Mom, why didn't you say this? Mom, why didn't you say that? Why you let her eat you like that? Like, Gia doesn't play. I wonder if we're gonna see Gia in this reunion if she shows up. But Melissa, she's like throwing shots at Teresa, saying, you are the one who committed mortgage fraud. So stop putting the blame on others. And Teresa corrects her, saying, no, it was her husband, and she fall for the crime together. Like, she happens to be a victim. She's standing by it. And I'm like, okay, Teresa, you can say all you want. I'm just saying that, knowing that Teresa still tears up and cries and gets emotional about her time in jail. Remember in the trip in Ireland, she did get emotional about it. And, at that time, Melissa was comforting towards her or trying to keep the peace, knowing that she knows that, remember, she knew all this information already. So it's not like it was a surprise. So it's so fake to see, Melissa just really, knowing that it hurts Teresa, letting Teresa take more hits, more blows, more jabs like this, and then Teresa to not to respond. Like, I would have called that how fake Melissa is for her to, she knew that Teresa spoke to her brother, said what she said about the situation, and they went on this trip together. And Melissa was still trying to be really nice towards Teresa. So I feel it's a little bit strange. It's super, super strange. And it doesn't look good on Melissa the way she's going on Teresa. So Teresa is like, this is the cleanse. She is purging. I feel like that's why Teresa is not coming with the shots as she should, because she's already at peace at moving on. She's like done with this lady. She's done with her. So that's why she don't have any comebacks to go back and forth, because she doesn't want to go back and forth with the lady, okay? But Melissa, she wants to go out with a bang. It's going out really ugly for her, I would say. So I don't know. Yo, these two, too much. So it's just interesting to see how this whole reunion, there was structure, but I felt like it was so disorganized because these two, Melissa and Teresa, they were going at it every opportunity they had. But now it's Rachel's turn. You know, it's her turn of the reunion to pretty much get all the questions and answers from her about her season. So she opens up and sharing how, it was quite difficult for her to film with, two babies pretty much. And, it's a lot. You forget she's a new mom. No, she's not a new mom, but, she has babies. She has babies to watch over and do all this. This is a job. This is a whole production, so it was a lot for her to manage, and she did it so effortlessly, and you could tell by her kids how happy they are, how much of a good mother she is. So she did a good job. And she shares that John Fuda, he is now waxy. Remember, we saw at the trip out at the shore that John got his chest shaved. So I guess this is now a regular thing. That's his thing now. And we also learned that he had lipo done, but this is not because he saw himself on the TV show and decided, okay, I need to make some changes. No, 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 no. This is like that's what they do. They are renovating their home, themselves, everything. So that's what they do. So that's quite interesting. I haven't really have heard guys being open about cosmetic surgery. So that was an interesting little twist to hear from him. So I thought that was quite interesting, really. So Rachel and Jennifer, they got into a little discussion about, the nose. If Jennifer Aiden got her nose done at her doctor, and I felt like this was such a interesting argument, because why Jennifer, she would tell us if she got her nose done by Rachel's doctor. Why would she withhold this information? I feel like Jennifer Aiden, she's such an open book. She doesn't hold back. She's not like the other girls who hold back on what they got done. She's not that girl. So I felt like this was a stupid argument, especially knowing Jennifer Aiden. She's gonna tell us who she got her who got it done. If it was her husband, she would advertise that, okay? So yeah, that was such a pointless argument. I did not enjoy that. But we did move on to the adoption process, which I did enjoy hearing from her. And we also learned how genuine that was, because even Dolores was able to back up Rachel and say that, Rachel has been talking about adopting Jaden long ago. And this was before filming. So this was a real thing for her. But what we do learn that in this process that, ooh, the biological mother, she was reached out by Louis. And apparently Louis got her contact information, and that kind of made the biological mom kind of bug out a little bit, as she should. I mean, if she wasn't an active parent and she was off on her own doing her own thing, now having the show come up, I can understand many sources, somebody would want to reach out to her to get her side of things. So I thought that was gonna be a natural situation that would come up, but the way it had impacted her family, y'all, Rachel is not happy with Teresa or Louis. And of course, if she's not happy, her man is not happy. John Fuller is not happy about a whole commotion being brought up with the biological mother of Jaden now trying to reach and get contact of Jaden, and Jaden had to refuse. Why y'all put Jaden in this mess? And that's not just if it was Teresa and Louis, it's not just them. It's just the whole world obviously would want to kind of look into that story. I feel like whatever you put on the show, it's like information that is now open for the public to kind of investigate, to get their kind of take on it, to see if it's true or not, or if it's like, just a storyline. So I just felt like this was the pretty much the cycle of life when you put your life out on television. So that was unfortunate to hear that information, but everyone is talking about Bodito. We better be seeing Bodito on this reunion. I hope Bodito, they get him on FaceTime, because obviously there is some answers that he have to give us. Like, what is his involvement in the crew, the cast? Like, who else he have information on? Does he have information on Andy Cohen? I need to know. The way we know his name, Bodito, his first and last name, y'all. We know his first and last. But of course, Teresa's gonna defend her man. They're married. She is Mrs. Ruelas. So she's gonna defend her man. She's like, wait till Louis get out here and y'all can ask him himself. But I just really feel like not only do we need Louis out here, we need Gia. Gia needs to, take in control of her mom, because her mom is not settling or correcting these girls, because these girls are running amok, okay, in the castle, okay. So Teresa, she points out that Margaret also gets information. It's like, why is she the only one that all the girls are like, oh my god, you get information on the girls? All these girls get information on the girls. It's just that it's cool when they do it, but it's a problem when Teresa do it. But the thing is, Teresa is not getting that message off clear, because off the jump, there's teams. Melissa is ready to ride for Margaret, okay? She's already saying that, oh no, Margaret, the information just comes to her. Well, the same thing could be said to Teresa. The information comes to her. I mean, what's the difference? It's the same thing. It's just, I guess what they don't like is who is the one doing it. Because I feel like all the girls are being hypocritical. They all do the same thing. So it's just like, ugh, it's just so tacky. It's just so tacky to see, Melissa defend Margaret when, Margaret's best friend, y'all, her best friend Laura, her ex-best friend Laura, was the one to be starting the rumor in the first place about her kissing a baseball player in the backseat of a car. Was it about whoever it was, whatever it was? She started that rumor. Now, are you mad at the bone carrier who passed along this information? I can understand, because we have the saying for a reason: don't kill the messenger. But that's why they had Danielle go do it. Okay, so it doesn't. So Teresa, keep your hands clean. So we're getting ahead of it. We're getting ahead of it, because we get into this reunion. I feel so bad for Danielle. Danielle was like, after that whole situation, you could tell her mind was just playing back. Did these girls set me up? Did they set me up? Oh. But I like Danielle, because Danielle, she's super Italian. She kept the face feeling like, no, they didn't set me up. But at the end of the episode, she went to her room to talk to her man. It's like, these ladies, they set me up. They set me up. I was like, that is a real one. Danielle is the real one. I like that. I like that. I like that. Because of course you don't want these girls to see you sweat. No, no one can never manipulate me. But then you go home, tell your man, these ladies. I felt for her in that moment, but I'm so much ahead of myself, because, guys, I'm trying to make this reunion, give it some life, give it some zhuzh, because it was not giving. I'm telling you, after the Real Housewives of Miami reunion, ain't nothing touched it yet. Nothing touched it yet. What do you guys think? But let me know in the comments down below. So we're going to move on. So now we get our star friend of the show, Jen Fessler, and we also get Jackie Snyder. I felt like if I was Jackie, I felt like I would feel like Jen Fessler overshadowed me. But I feel like these girls can share a moment, and they do. Jen Fessler, I didn't even recognize her. She came back so quickly into a new person. When they come onto these shows, they see themselves on television and they're like, oh, I need to do some tweaks. I need to do this. I need to do that. But Jen Fessler, before the season end reunion, brand new face. Who is this? And she is feeling it. She got a facelift. She got a nose job. She got weight loss. She's done it all. She said if this was gonna be her final and only shot, she's gonna take it. And I like that. I like that, because she doesn't take time for granted. She lives in that moment. So that's why Jen Fessler is this season's best friend of in the show. Okay, so they're here, and they're having so much fun. Jen Fester said, filming the season was so much fun, but the aftermath was doing a lot. She said that she didn't like how she got such a commotion for her situation with James Gandolfini, because everyone is like, oh, why are you talking about a person who passed? Like, they cannot speak. Why you want to link you and him together? You look at you, and of course, everyone was hyping up Jen Fester. Jen Fester, they said, "Oh no, you're good looking. He punched up, so that shouldn't have been so much of a commotion." But we get a little update about Jackie. Jackie, I'm so happy. Jackie is healthy, y'all. She said she's healthy, so I'm gonna believe she's healthy. I hope she's healthy. So the reason why she came back as a friend of was because at one point she was gaining a lot of weight, so she had to get her personal situation under control. And in that process, she's written a book. So she's gonna promote a book. So check out her book if you can relate to her situation. And she is in a better space. This was the best move that she could have possibly done, and I support this. And it's such a big decision as a person who was a housewife to go as a friend of. I know she doesn't need the money, but not too many people would just, take a step back like that. That is such a wise and good decision to make, and a good example to showcase to the ladies. So hopefully, I would like to see Jackie come back as a full-time housewife. I feel like she could keep up with all of them. So I would like her to come back. So Andy asked her an interesting question. Andy asked about her thoughts about, everyone in the cast doing Ozempic, like the Ozempic craze. And, Jackie, she says, she is a proponent for weight loss. She supports people who want to lose weight. It's just the thing with Ozempic is it's a specific way, and the people get dependent on losing the weight in this matter. So you can't do that forever, as she would say, as she said. And so the issue is what happens when you can no longer be dependent on that. Like, what's gonna be now a way for these people to lose the weight, and it can lead to an unhealthy path. And that's what's her greatest fear. So I like her educated response. I hope these ladies listen, because it can, like, no one thinks of doing the worst to themselves for a result. They just want the result. So I like that she put that at least in the people's mind, so they can think about it, like, hey, am I really going to be doing Ozempic forever? What's the game plan? What's the strategy? Maybe I could figure out something better to help maintain what I got, because you can't take a drug forever, y'all. You gotta take at least a break. At least a break. So I'm so happy for, Jackie's moment and Jen Fester's moment. We also highlighted Jackie being the best beer chugger and her being a great limerick artist. And she also leaves on the final note of giving Andy a limerick about himself, which I thought was pretty cool. And, I think the girls' trip, it was okay. It was giving what it was supposed to give for what these girls were giving. But now we move over to Melissa about her comment about drunk dialing her ex when she was drunk in Ireland. And y'all, Teresa wanted to use that against her. I'm like, Teresa, where's Gia? Gia needs to take out the notes for her to let her know, no, this is not what you're gonna come for. There's so many things to come for Melissa for, okay? But not this, okay? So Teresa is like, why would you say that? Is Joe okay with that? Like, I know the Joe that I know would not be okay with that. And Melissa was like, girl, it was a joke. It was nothing serious. So, you know, think it was something serious. But then why Teresa gotta say, she would have wanted Magic Mike, Channing Tatum, Channing Tatum on the trip. And then that was a setup for Melissa to swing, okay? It was a setup for Melissa to be like, oh, you wanted Magic Mike? You, a married woman? What would your husband say about that? I'm like, that was an easy setup. Like, Teresa, you fell right for that one. Oh, I like to see it. I felt like I was witnessing a hate crime. So I'm like, Teresa, if you're gonna do a reunion, please have Gia run through notes with you. Test run, prep work. Please, 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 please. That girl was not ready. She just showed up. She just came pretty. That's it. So, anywho, we get to see backstage commotions, and the guys are here, and they're in their spaces. It's divided into groups. I noticed the men were not all together. They could not be in the same room, and I'm happy because obviously there's some tension, there's some issues, and we move on. We move on to what's going on with the ladies. So the ladies, they talk about their vocabulary for this season, and what we finally learn is conversating is a word. Now, Margaret will not advise anyone to use this in your college paper. I wouldn't either, but the vindication for Danielle, yes. Yes, Queen, yes. So, anywho, this is a segment for Marge. So, in her segment, I kind of realized not much was going on for Marge this season. What they really talked about is like stuff that happened kind of like after the season or behind the scenes that we didn't really get to see. She talked about her and her final moments with Jan and her relationship with her stepdaughter. And I felt like, wow, we didn't really get to see that in the season. I mean, I'm not saying that we should, but I felt like, this is her segment. So I feel like, there should be more stuff to talk about than just, things that didn't happen on camera. Or at least, I mean, I guess the Laura thing, but Laura's not even there to say anything. I feel like, damn, Laura, they really used you as a plot, and did you get paid? I need to know if Laura got paid for that, because for them to use her name so often in episode, girl, I would ask for a check. I would ask for a check. So in a segment, we talk about Margaret's sex life, and then she addresses the hypocrisy of her saying that Teresa and Jen uh say that Margaret is the worst enemy to have, but she's okay when Jackie says it. And as I said, it's the same thing. It's the same hypocrisy. You just happen to be on the wrong team. If you're not on the same team, these girls do not care for you, and they will try to eat you alive. It's just so tacky. So moving on, Teresa says that Margaret also gets information on these ladies again. And I'm like, girl, you already said that. It's not landing. She said it in a different way, but it was not landing. It was not executing. It was not what you thought in your head that was gonna come out. I was so annoyed by Teresa because I feel like, Teresa, you're supposed to have shots for everybody. You're supposed to have an arsenal, okay? You should have came ready. If you knew these ladies had an arsenal for you and were not looking for you, especially how the finale ended, you should have came prepared. You should have came prepared, because I feel like Teresa was just sitting there and she was just collecting a check, which is cute, but damn, you look really uh yeah, you really they really finessed you in this situation, okay? So now let's talk about the lower thing, guys. So, okay. What got me, what made me feel for Danielle is when we learn that Jen already called Melissa about this rumor off camera. So I'm like, what was the reason for Jen to even get Danielle hot and bothered about the situation? Danielle was losing sleep. She was not enjoying the Ireland trip. She felt like she was sitting on a secret, y'all. For us to find out that Melissa already knew, that Jen knew because Jen told her, Danielle was like sitting there like shocked. And Andy had to ask Danielle, do you feel set up? Jen, she quickly apologized. She turns around, for a stiff neck and say that I apologize for it looking like that. And then, the other people on the other couch, they were excited. They were like, yes, you were manipulated, Danielle. How do you feel? You've been manipulated. And Danielle, she kept it really Italian. She was like, I can never be used. I can never be manipulated. I was not manipulated. And they moved on. Teresa was quiet. Teresa didn't say not one peep. Not one peep. So Danielle, she took it. It's like, when the big boss can go to jail or you go to jail, Danielle went to jail for the big boss. Danielle, I felt for her in that moment. I felt for her in that moment. I saw the look on her face. The way her look was like, really? Really? I felt for her. But I felt for her, but we gonna let that slide. It's her first season. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Danielle. It just happened to be you. Okay. So, we are moving on, and Melissa, she's blaming Teresa for pulling her husband to tell this lie. Because Andy asked Melissa, who you blame for this? And Melissa, she blames Teresa. She blames Jen. She blames Teresa for pulling her husband to tell him about this lie. And she blames Jen for putting this information on camera. And I'm like, what about Margaret? What about Laura? Like, come on, why? Damn, that girl, she did it again. Margaret, she got away clean. Clean, 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 clean. And these girls just let this happen. So now we over and we see the guys, and the guys, they're pretty much getting wild up, and they're just talking about the situation. We learned that Frank, he says his viewpoint is that the reason why there's a rift in the cast is all because of Louis. All because of Louis. We need to find out if this information is true first before we put the blame on anybody. But let's hold our horses, okay? So yeah. So we're back over to the ladies, and Teresa and Melissa are at it again. Andy, he loses control, but they at it again, and we pretty much jump scene back to Frank, and Frank, he's talking to the guy saying that how he's not gonna hold back. And I'm like, you get paid for this, sir. Of course, you're not going to hold back. You get paid for this. So he says that, the reason why he has an issue with Louis is because, Frankie Jr. was working for Louis. And Frankie Jr. was trying to get in contact with Louis, but Louis wasn't getting back in contact with him. And they learned that Louis closed down his business but never told Frankie Jr. So Frankie Jr. was left in the dark like that. And he said that's why the reason he's upset. And I'm like, that's okay, reasonable. I think that's fair. I mean, Louis took Frankie Jr. under his wing. So, yeah, I don't like being ghosted. And I can understand how, as a parent, no parent wants their kid to feel ghosted. So, yeah, he needs to address this with Louis. I want to hear about that too. I'm invested now. So, now back to the ladies, Jennifer, she addresses the coffee reading and how terrible it was. But she used the opportunity to take a jab at Melissa. I said, okay, if it's not Teresa, it's Jennifer. Jennifer's gonna give us the jabs that we need to hear to get on Melissa. So it's like a boxing match. And Jennifer is holding it down for Teresa. So she throws a jab and lets, everyone know that this psychic also is the psychic that took care of Nona, who Melissa never went to go visit. And I'm like, damn, that's embarrassing. What you got to say about that, Melissa? She doesn't say anything. She says like, oh, I guess this is a take a shot day. But if it's true, why would they say that if it's not true? Like, I feel like Melissa didn't see Nona enough. Obviously, it was a thing. So this starts a little situation with Melissa and Jen. And, Andy has to yell to move to the next question. I'm like, damn. Good. God damn. Okay, this must have been a long day of filming. Okay, so we learned that, Jennifer Aiden and her husband only needed one therapy session. Apparently, everything is good because they said they're happy and they're moving on. And I guess they just didn't want anybody else in their business. They're not gonna. They probably had a truth saying we're not doing this on camera no more. Okay, our kids are watching this. They see this. Let's not do this on camera. So I agree with that because I felt like their kids are quite young. They don't need to see all that, honestly. So if they like it, I love it. Okay. So now about the daughter. Margaret can understand why Jennifer Aiden does not like her, but she's not taking the blame for her daughter wanting to be a love therapist. She said, no, that's you. That's you. That's a long time coming. And Jen, she was making me laugh because she was throwing these jabs. I'm like, yes, Jennifer Aiden, you were holding this down. You were giving us the jabs that we needed. And I'm like, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. So it gets to the point where, even Melissa had to like kind of jump into the situation. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And then Jennifer had to explain the reason why she came all up about all this information about Melissa in the finale. Why these girls were not letting it go was because they said that Laura was coming up with all this information, so that was a narrative, so that's what they were moving forward with. So I'm like, okay. I mean, I appreciate that, they don't keep things on the hush hush. Like in Potomac, when things were going down, the ladies kept it on the hush hush for Robin Dixon. Even though we were filming a whole season and not getting much out of them, at least they were not holding back. So now Margaret is explaining why she's no longer friends with Teresa. I don't think Teresa cares, okay? So the reason why she's not friends with Teresa is because Louis got Baldito. No, actually, this is quite serious. Supposedly Louis got Baldito to get information on all the cast. And not only that, Margaret, she shares how her child received a phone call from Louis threatening them. That's serious. Now, we get into a whole conversation about spoofing, and apparently, everyone in the Bravo universe have been receiving phone calls from people on their cast, but it's not them. So it makes me question, is it really Louis? Like, are they being set up? What's going on? But it becomes a real serious thing where it's a little bit confusing. And at this moment, we just need Louis to come out. We need Louis to come out. Louis has become the most important person in this franchise because apparently he has all the information. So we are waiting for the next episode, I believe the final part of the reunion. And Louis is gonna come out with all the men, and Andy Cohen is just prepping everybody. Let's not fight. I'm sitting right in the front. I don't want to get hit. And so he's letting everyone know, okay, guys, don't fight, don't fight, don't fight, don't fight. I'm like ready to see this because I feel like that's the whole commotion that we're waiting for to see what's gonna give and how they're gonna close this chapter. But yeah, it's intense. And okay, my favorite part of seeing this preview is seeing how Danielle, she goes to her dressing room to talk to her husband, and she tells her husband, they set me up. And I'm like, I really felt for her. But damn, this episode, I would say it was cute. It was a cute 8. I'll give it an 8. But we really had to get to it. Andy Cohen, I feel for you because I had to do this recap and it was giving a lot. So, guys, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate every one of you. And as always, share as much kindness as possible. I will see you guys next week for a new recap on the Real Housewives of New Jersey reunion part 3. So we'll see, guys. Oh, this was so stressful. If you're stressed, please, hopefully, let's let it go. Let's USA is the cleanse. The cleanse, the cleanse, the cleanse. Take care, guys. Bye.